The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a wonderful show today with a very special guest all the way from Bellingham, Washington, Tim Cornwell. Tim, how are you?
Doing awesome, Tim. The Tim Squared Show.
Squared.
I love it.
Yeah, right. I love that. I think I'm going to put that in your thumbnail for the show. two winners. Well, Tim, I'm going to ask you the same first question I ask everybody who comes on the show. This would be the one time I lump you in with everybody else, but I got to know. Were you the child of 5 years old, tugging on your parents' pant leg saying, Mom, Dad, how do I become a realtor? Or were you like most of us where we just kind of fell back into it?
If only. Right? No, that was not me at 5.
Yeah. So what happened? So how did you get into real estate and what's the story there?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you frame it in that way because so many people feel like, hey, at 5 years old, most kids figure, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Yeah. And, I wanted to play in the NFL at 5 years old. Hey, I want to play pro football. That never happened. Yeah. So the rest of my growing up years and then into adulthood, honestly, it was that nagging question of what do I really want to be when I grow up? What am I good at? Where's my passion? What gets me excited? And I journeyed down multiple career paths, different career paths, some of them entrepreneurial. At one point in time, I started and ran my own commercial bakery specializing in cheesecakes. That's a completely different story. But I also got involved. I was a mechanic and a millwright. I sold heavy equipment for a while, got into sales and started in advertising sales. And this was a new experience because it was 100% commission. Right. And the idea that you get paid only if you produce a result was a new concept, which was exciting, scary, and challenging all at the same time. But the idea of unlimited income certainly was what really drove me to explore that. Then I got into, like I said, other commission jobs, and I took other salary jobs as well, and leadership, management, that type of thing. But nothing really ever got me fired up. I always felt like there was something missing. Like, you know what? I know I'm capable of more. I just don't know what that is. And right. I was searching and seeking and exploring and trying out, like I said, trying all these different career paths. In 2000, probably around 2006, 2007, I got this idea. A friend of mine was flipping cars. He would go to the local public auto auction, buy a car, and I always saw him driving around kind of cool cars. And I'm like, how are you doing this? And he's like, oh yeah, I just buy them at the auto auction or I find them on eBay and I buy them and then I resell them. And I was like, oh, wow. Well, maybe I'll give that a try. So that's where I started. That's kind of like my first step into real estate was flipping cars. And then there wasn't a lot of money in that for me. It was pretty time consuming and it was fun though. I enjoyed it. I love cars. But then I got into, in 2010, I had been attending local real estate investor meetings and learning about what is real estate investment and watching these shows on Discovery Channel, flip this house. Right. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like flipping cars, but it's flipping houses. And these people on the show didn't seem extraordinarily bright to me. And I was like,
thank you for your honesty, Tim. I appreciate
it. But you know what it was? It created this sense of believability for me, where I saw myself as that, hey, these people aren't untouchables. These people are regular folks and they're making some pretty good money, more money than I've ever made on a lump sum type of a transaction. So I'm watching these shows. I start going to the local real estate investor meetups. And one of the meetups, a guy came up and said, hey, here's what I do. I'm a real estate trainer. I'm a mentor. I'm a coach. I will help you become a real estate investor. So get into the business, buy my CDs, and I'll teach you how to do fix and flips or acquisitions, owner financing, kind of a lot of different wide spectrum of training. And I said, yeah, you know what, gosh, I think that makes sense. And I remember calling my wife at the break and I said, hey, I think I found what I want to do when I grow up.
Right.
I want to do real estate full time. And she's like, wow, that's pretty exciting, because we've been on that journey together. And I said, I need to spend $3,000 that we don't have to buy this course. What do you think? She's like, well, and then this has been the story of really my success has been my wife, Lynn. She's always had my back.
Yeah.
And she's got great intuition and discernment on the things that I should pursue and things that I shouldn't pursue. And for some reason, her discernment and intuition at that point in time, she felt like, yes, I could see you being successful doing this. You put $3,000 on a Visa card and let's make this happen. And
Nice.
so that's really that was the big decision point. It's like, okay, is this something I'm going to do? Or am I just going to go to another seminar, listen to it and, chalk it up to knowledge? But really, I took that knowledge and information and I really started to apply it. And within 6 months, I had purchased my first fix and flip. And I didn't have any money. So I got really creative on how I acquired different projects and different properties, combination of partnering with contractors on projects, private money, the idea that there are people in my world that I know that have an abundance of liquidity and they're willing to loan that out on a project that makes sense. And so being able to acquire private money financing, to be able to partner with contractors on projects, to be able to use lines of credit, unsecured personal lines of credit for different things on projects. And then seller financing, this concept that I'd really never heard of before, which is that someone owns a property and they want to sell it, and maybe they would provide the financing and loan me the money instead of me going to a bank and getting a loan, was a crazy concept, which I have successfully used to purchase multiple properties over the years.
Right.
And they love it. A seller that's willing to loan to a buyer like me is someone that wants to put their money to work and keep it working and generating a return. And they know the collateral. I mean, the collateral they're loaning on is something that they've owned, and then they're handing that off to create some more freedom or get them to another chapter in their life.
Not a lot of risk there for sure.
Yeah. So real estate investing is what got me into it. And then ultimately in 2012 is when I went full-time, got my real estate license, became a real estate agent and also an investor. And so that was, a little over 10 years ago. I've been in the business now as an agent.
That's a 1-2 combo right there.
Indeed,
right?
It is.
I got to know, Tim, I'm going to back up about a minute or two into your story. I may even change what we discuss here. Where do you find a wife like that? Yeah, sure. We don't have the money. I've been married 31, I gotta remember this, right? 31 years in March. I never had that conversation. That's fantastic though. I love that story, Tim. That's just an amazing, startup story. So here we are over, say, the past 13, 14 years since you first, got into that foray. It wasn't Carlton Sheets, was it?
No, it's just a local guy.
I have sat in a few of those seats before watching different people. So there's a lot of good information out there either way. But let's talk about today a little bit. I did a little due diligence on your team. You built quite a team for yourself there in town. Tell me about that and how you went from probably originally a solopreneur into team building.
Absolutely. I will answer that question, but I'm going to answer the first question you asked me about how do you find a wife like that?
Here we go.
And because I'm a man of faith. So I believe that I have just been blessed with a lot of good things in my life that I don't deserve. And I'm just really fortunate that way. And honestly, my wife, having a wife like I have, is nothing. I didn't do anything. So to earn the woman that is committed to me and supportive of me and believes in me. And honestly, it chokes me up a little bit just to think about her role in my success, because, it's really easy to doubt myself. It's easy to just like, well, I'll never be able to do that. And, I question myself all the time. And so to have a voice in my life the closest person in my life that's in my ear telling me, we're going to be okay. I'm not freaked out. I'm not worried. We'll find a way. She doesn't puff me up like, you're the greatest thing ever. It's very realistic, but it's not a voice of doubt or a voice of questioning the legitimacy of a dream. And I would just say for anybody that's listening to this, if you don't have that in your spouse, there's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, you can work on it, but you've got to find someone in your life that will have that voice. You need another voice of encouragement, another voice that will speak truth in love. I have an accountability partner. I have another real estate agent here in town where we have been meeting for probably the last 7 or 8 years every Thursday morning. And he and I basically, our intention is we are here every week to help each other get the most out of life.
Right.
And so we do that for each other. So I have my wife that's supporting me at home. And then I found someone in the professional world that I share that same experience with, in that exchange of, man, I'm scared, there's doubt, I'm concerned, talk me into this thing, keep me going,
Yeah, for sure.
So that is, if there was any piece of advice I could give people watching the show today, it's like right there. Because that inner, some people are wired up different than me, and they just have tons of confidence and they just believe in themselves. And there's like, without question, they just hard charge and change the world. I feel like I'm a little more average in that respect, that, I've got some confidence here and there and some dreams and passions, but along the way comes doubts and questions and those kind of things. So what's that?
Self-doubt that's conquered many a man.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
100%. But
it's a wonderful story though. And it says a lot to your character, of course. I'm not going to ask too personal questions, but I'm sure you've been married for some time. And, and it takes faith, and it takes love and endurance. And then also having that voice of, and as I was listening to you, I was like, and that voice of reason, and that voice of forgiveness. I could go through all these different voices. And I've been, as I said before, I've been married 30 years, and 3 years before that, dating. Not quite a high school sweetheart, more of a college age sweetheart. But so I understand completely what you're saying, and I agree 10,000% if that's a real number.
We've been married 35 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. I love hearing that, because you just don't hear it too much anymore.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like I said, it's nothing I've done. It's honestly, I just give her so much credit for, keeping us together and moving forward. So it's very exciting. I will say this about the voices in the head. There was a great book called The Untethered Soul. I'm not quite sure who wrote it, but The Untethered Soul addresses a lot of these inner voices and those kind of things. But yeah, back to your second question, which was starting in real estate, July 3rd, 2012. And isn't it interesting how certain dates you remember so crystal clearly?
Right.
I remember that day well. And
emblazoned on the mind.
Yeah. Solo agent, trying to figure it out. And honestly, I'd interviewed every brokerage in town. I'm a little bit of an analyzer. And, so like I knew all of the companies in town, because I had worked at a title company prior to going and getting my license. And so I knew all the brokerages. And so I interviewed, probably 6 or 7 of the most prestigious, most respectable names in the business. I selected one, which I thought was the best. And I walked in the front door that first day and I said, "Hey, I'm Tim, new agent. Where do I go?" Right. She's like, "Oh, great. Yeah, great. I got you covered." So we start walking, and we're walking in the lobby. I'm going, man, we're getting farther and farther away from the lobby. Pretty soon I'm in the very back of the building, like as far away from the lobby as you possibly can be. And there's a little room just wide enough. There's like a desk mounted on the wall, and then just enough room to walk along the back side of that desk with 2 chairs. She goes, "Well, here you are." I was like, "Oh, okay. Wow." Great.
We're the corner office.
Yes, exactly. So I sat down and she says, "So welcome and good luck. And if you have any questions, let me know." And then she disappeared. And I was like, whoa, this is like the best brokerage I could have picked to hang my license at. It wasn't EXP, by the way, at the time.
Right.
And I was like, So I spent the next 6 months figuring it out on my own. And fortunately, we had just sold our house because I was all in on this new career path. I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to move into a rental. I'm going to take the equity of my house and we'll use it to live on if we need to.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And fortunately, we didn't need to live on the equity. I figured it out within 6 months, like I said. But there were some dark days of uncertainty and like, wow, what did I get myself into? But eventually, because of because of kind of like my title and escrow background and my investing background, I was able to deliver a lot of value to builders and developers in the community because I knew how to find a good deal.
Right.
So I was still going out and finding deals. I'm building spec houses. I'm developing duplex lots. I'm subdividing little small short plats. I bought an apartment during that time with owner financing. So I'm doing my own deals, and I've gotten pretty good at figuring out if you look at a piece of property, I'm able to see things that people don't see with just the naked eye, because there's like, here's a 5,000 square foot lot in the city. Okay, whatever, I guess you build a house. But I know that in the city of Bellingham, we have different zoning allowances. We have different strategies that the city's employing to create density. There's creative things you can do. So it's many times there's more than meets the eye on any particular piece of property. Well, I was able to see that and be able to communicate that to a client and say, hey, I was just looking at this property over here. I think you could probably, convert this into 2 lots. Hey, I look into this property over here. It's got a house, but I think you could add a duplex in the backyard. And so people are starting, they're digging it, like, wow, can you find more deals like this for me? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So before you know it, I'm picking up these clients that I'm helping them buy deals, but then they're also like, well, when we fix the deal up, we're just going to sell it. Can you be my listing agent? And so pretty soon I'm helping them, and actually got to the point in time with this investment class or this group where one time they asked me to come speak. So I go, oh, cool. So I'll be the speaker this time. This is crazy, So, a couple of years into real estate, all of a sudden I'm speaking at this event. Well, right afterwards, a guy runs up to me and says, hey, I fix and flip houses. I need a real estate agent that gets it. Could you be my realtor? And I need a house. I have a house I need to get listed right now.
Right.
So it was amazing how quickly I was able to take the things that I had learned and apply it to being a real estate agent and, build up a pretty good business in a short period of time. And then I also was doing open houses. I was doing 2 or 3 open houses a week. And then I took my open houses, 10x'd them, it was like, okay,
right.
I'm not going to just put up 4 signs. I'm going to put up, 14 signs. And, and I'm going to make coffee and I'm going to have cookies. And, I just did everything to the 10th degree to try to get off the launch pad with my career. So what I made up for with lack of experience or lack of a pipeline or any business, I just made up for with hustle, grit, determination, relentless action, and actually things happen.
Yeah. The no regrets mentality. That's what I always call it. I mean, I'm not going to have any regrets at the end of the day. Win, lose, or draw, or if you're, you come from an athletic background, you leave it all on the field, right?
Yeah.
No matter what happens, we say on the mat, because my wrestling background, but
okay.
We left it all on the mat, and you can't, and the same in business. If you gave it every shot, you did everything you were supposed to do, you're not gonna have any regrets about it. Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
Continue.
100%.
Tell me about moving into the team format.
I think my 3rd year, we might have sold 50 houses. I mean, I might have done 50 transactions, somewhere in that range. And I thought, wow, okay, this is coming fast and hard. And I had hired an assistant, and there was a guy in town, and he had built a team. And it was like, wow, that's pretty cool how he scaled his business by bringing on other agents, and how does that work? And I started studying team models, like real estate teams. It was like in its infancy back in 2014, let's say. So I just had the idea. It just started with a thought. Hey, I want to do that. I want to have a team. And I started talking about it. And like I said, researching it. Well, one of my clients at the time was an investor, was looking to buy buildings and things. And he heard me talking about it. We were, hey, what's going on? I'm thinking about starting a team. And he goes, cool. Well, 2 weeks later, he calls me up and he goes, hey man, I'm going to quit my job, going to get my real estate license, and I want to join your team.
Wow.
I'm like, well, Travis, I don't have a team yet. But I love that. Let's do it. So he came in, and kind of my plans were in the formative stage. And again, that's just that providence thing, this faith. I feel like God brought him into my life to speed up that process. And so we started from there, and then I had another agent that wanted to join the team, and pretty soon it's getting bigger. But the brokerage I was at, and I thought, I want to go big. And the brokerage I was at was like, we don't love the team model. We don't do that here. And I was like, well, what if I got my own office? What if I rented my own space in town? Like, would you guys help me, compensate me a little bit for that, or charge a lower split? It's like, nah, we're not going to do that. So it was just like I tried to get creative with the brokerage I was at because I loved them, and I was like, this is a good thing. But ultimately I want to go do this. I want to scale my business because, you sell a house, you get paid, you sell a house, get paid. That's one thing, right. But I want like 10X, 100X. What if I could sell 100 houses and get paid?
Right.
And so that was just the philosophy. So ultimately I started my own brokerage in 2015. Started a company here in Bellingham called Bellwether Real Estate. I had 4 other partners, and we came together, started this brokerage, grew it up to, I think at our peak, we were about 70 agents. And I had my team, and I started really pouring into this team model. And I think if anybody wants advice on how to run a team, what not to do, I think I've made pretty much every mistake a team leader can make.
Isn't it the more important thing on what not to do than what to do? I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
No, tell me what not to do. Don't tell me what to do. I think I know those things, but it's the what not to do is that get you in the end. But go ahead.
But it's been a blast running the team. One of the things that I draw the great fulfillment from is watching life transformation happen right in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
And we have one of our agents, and I could tell 20 stories like this, but one of our agents, his name's Devontae. When I met Devontae, he was waiting tables. Devontae was a professional waiter in a restaurant and lived in an apartment with his wife. Nobody in his family had ever made more than 6 figures a year, probably not even close to that.
Yeah.
And so I met Devontae and I said, well, hey man, let's talk about what your dreams and goals are for your life and how real estate might be a pathway to get you there. And anyway, one thing led to another. He got his license, joined our team. And then I just poured into him like I pour into anybody else on our team. And I saw in him what was possible. Kind of my motto in life is to see, believe, and call out the best in myself and in others. So here's the deal we're going to have, Tim. I'm going to be the best I can be, but I expect you to also be the best you can be. Right. And what if we had an agreement that that's the way we work together? I'm going to be my best, you be your best. I'm going to believe in you and see the best in you and call it out, but I want you to see that in me. And then maybe we can make something, we can co-create something phenomenal together.
Yeah, it's almost that equally yoked mentality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have that equality there to make it work, or it doesn't work at all. Yeah.
So Devontae dug in, he did the work. And since then, Devontae has been able to, earn over $100,000 a year. Devontae's been able to buy his own house and move out of an apartment. Devontae is a partner with me on a 10-unit apartment building. I partnered with people on our team to buy an investment property together. So now he's a business partner with me, and he just purchased a brand new Audi e-tron, like it got delivered 2 weeks ago.
Good for him.
So whether it's career-wise or lifestyle-wise, or there's even been a story where one of my agents just said to me, before I joined this team, I literally was considering taking my own life.
Oh, wow.
And this
heartbreaking.
Being in real estate, being part of what's going on here has changed my whole outlook on life. And so I was like, wow, okay, God, you're doing something way bigger than just selling houses here.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a fun journey. So that's what we've done. And then really the most recent iteration in the last 2 years is I'm 59 years old, Tim. I'm old. And I really want to be in Florida in the wintertime. So I've had this vision where you are. I've had a vision for how do I do that? But I want to keep working. I want to keep impacting lives. How do I stay in Bellingham in the summer? Because there's no better place on the planet than Bellingham, Washington in the summer months.
Yeah, beautiful.
But then in the winter months, spend some time down in Florida and pour into people down there. How could I build a team in Florida that we create, who are like-minded, we want to build something, create something amazing together. So I was looking at that Florida model and realizing that, wow, my little brokerage in Bellingham isn't going to be able to support an operation in Florida. I'll need to align myself with a brokerage. Right. I called Glenn Sanford. So Glenn, I've known Glenn. Glenn's a Bellingham guy. Glenn was an agent in Bellingham. I have his number. So I called him. Glenn, here's what I'm thinking. He's like, great, love that. We'd love to have you at EXP. We have a policy that if you're in EXP in one state, you have to be in EXP in every state you operate in. You can't be at different brokerages, competing brokerages. Like, oh, wow, I'll have to leave the company that I started in order to do that. Glenn Sanford, I feel like, is one of the most insightful people I know. Wise and humble.
Innovative, for sure.
Innovative, yeah. And I was like, my level of respect for Glenn is just off the charts. And so I look at his model and what he's created, and I talk to a lot of other broker owners and team leaders around the country. Why did you move your brokerage to EXP? Why did you move your team to EXP? And I'm hearing the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, finally, I just said, okay, I'm going to take a sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, all the reasons to go to EXP, all the reasons to just stay where I'm at. And it was like 20-1.
The ratio close, right?
And I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, the only reason I want to stay where I'm at is because that's what's comfortable and that strokes my ego.
Right.
And all of the other reasons I should go to EXP or I want to go to EXP were like, these are just wise decisions for myself and my family and my team. And so what happened was ultimately in March 2021, we're almost 2 years in now, I moved my team to EXP, went to my business partners at Bellwether and said, guys, I think we should do this as a brokerage. I think just move the whole brokerage over and be a mega team. And they're like, yeah, we just really want to stay boutique. And I'm like, okay, I can respect that, but I need to go do this. And so we had a very amicable separation. Still love those guys, see them all the time, talk to them. I launched a new brand name for our team. We are now the Redwood Group at EXP.
Yeah.
And we have a great office. I bought an office space. I know EXP is a virtual company, but they're the platform that supports what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I got this incredible platform called EXP Realty. And then I have my office that our team runs out of right there in Bellingham. And then I'm building my business, a bigger business beyond my team. I'm building a bigger team through the EXP platform. They have a revenue sharing model where I'm pouring into, like right now, there's 40 agents between Bellingham and Olympia that I'm collaborating with on how do we make our businesses better? How do we improve the quality of our lives? How do we experience greater freedom? And we're all committed to that. And so I'm in a mastermind with 40 other agents that all want the same thing. And so, Tim, that's my intention, is to come to Florida and do the same thing.
I will always be here to help you. As a matter of fact, if you stay on for a minute after the program, I'll share a couple of things with you.
Okay.
I'll drop some names you may know, you may not know. You should know a couple of them that are doing exactly what you envision. And they are close friends of mine and or mentors and or clients in something else that we work on. But I would love to share that with you and help you along in that facet. We are winding down a little bit, Tim. I did want to say, first and foremost, how would someone get in touch with you?
Well, my phone number, 360-223-0190. Call, text on the phone. Email, tim.redwoodgroupnw.com. tim.redwoodgroupnw.com. And then, if you go into Facebook, Instagram, just type Tim Cornwell, I'll pop up there.
You're everywhere, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. So I did want to, something I always do, and I want to allow it for you as well. I always say you're the hit, and I'm just the DJ spinning the records, if anybody listening knows what records are. So I wanted you to take us out, give us a good word, whether it be about, work, family, pet dog, faith, whatever it might be, whatever's on your heart, soul, or mind. Share it with us on the way out, Tim.
Oh, wow, Tim, you put me on the spot. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love doing that. Got to keep the feet moving. I know you got a good word for us somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm constantly sharing this with my team to the point that they're so tired of it. I'm so inspired by the opportunity to live life to the fullest. And really, I would say this, that at the end of the day, there's kind of a banner that I look at every single day, and it says John 10, chapter 10, verse 10, John 10:10. And, if you believe that Jesus was the creator of the universe, if that's part of your faith story, he said, these are his words, that he came to earth so that we could experience life to the fullest.
Right.
And so it's my philosophy and belief system is this, that if my creator says to me, hey, Tim, my intention for you is that you live life to the full, then I'm obligated every day to figure out what that looks like. And so you talked about this no regrets. It really feeds into that no regrets philosophy, is that how do we do that every day? How do I pursue my fullest potential with passion? And so I would just say anybody that, if anybody's vibing with me right now, or is like, that's missing from my life, I would love to have a conversation about just coaching, mentoring, and like, how do you get there? How do you get from being stuck? I am not living my life to the fullest, and I want that. I would be happy to engage in a conversation with, try to discover that with somebody.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, anybody listening, or actually anybody I come in contact with, I'll send them your way that I feel fits that profile, because I think you definitely are living that. And I think that's what people are looking for. Tim, thank you so much for being on the program. Hang with me one more minute, as soon as we're done, but I do look forward to continuing this relationship and catching up with you, over the next 3, 6, 9 months, and especially seeing you in Orlando, and then, maybe having that discussion on how to get you down here to Florida, at least for half. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you so much.